high performers, they look like they have it all under control, but a lot of times there is a performance gap that they're struggling with every day. Boaz Gilad, you have spent years perfecting the conversation, the skills, and actually a strategy that allows high performers to close that gap. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's really great to be part of your great program. And look, so where do we start? I think fundamentally we need to understand that there's this disconnect between how top performers operate in one area and how they operate in a different area. And what do I mean by that? I'll give you an example of actually my first client. I won't say names, very successful logistic company in the Midwest, easy successful. If you, Bridget, if you went to his employees and you ask about him, like he is a top performer. They're growing every year. They're making a lot of money. He's very wealthy. People love him. He's great with the board, great with the employees. One of those, right? And when I met with him and I spoke with him about the program, Zenith was not even part of kind of the vocabulary. I was more curious, and I was like, let me try different things because I have a theory as someone who ran a big company for a long time. And he said to me, I wouldn't curse on the podcast, but he said, I'm such an F loser. I was like,
Right.
like I'm looking at him. He is extraordinary, right? What is he talking about, right? And he was talking about his health and fitness. He was about 300 pounds, a little bit more than 300 pounds. And no judgment from me. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong. He looked at himself in the mirror saying, I'm a loser. And I was like, how is it? So I was more curious about the question than the answer, because I don't know the answer. I know to ask very powerful questions, because who am I to tell you what to do? I mean, it's kind of like, that's one of the challenges with coaches. They tell you what to do as if they know.
Yes.
But I know to ask really good questions. And I said, how is it that in one area of your life, you are so successful and you have that level of integrity and performance, and in other, you have no power around it? So I was curious. And so to answer your question, we can go further into it, is that top performance deal with compartmentalizing their success. They're very, very good in something and they're not good at something else. And they don't have the tools, the ability, the understanding to implement the tools they already have into other areas. And I want to say one more thing about it. If you're listening to the conversation, like, well, I'm not a top performer, I will challenge that way of thinking. Because most of us are very good at something. You might be the most extraordinary father. You might be the most extraordinary partner. You might be extraordinary business person, or you run marathons, or you're best friends. So people say, hey, when I get a flat at 2 a.m., I'm calling this person. Right? So there's some area of your life that you have experienced, or even if it's hidden, you are a top performer. How do we take this and bring it to other areas?
That's great. And is that what you did with that very first client?
Yes, that's exactly what we did. I call it Unmask on my podcast, but we remove the myth behind what it takes, because one of the challenges with top performers is that they double down on what's important and what's strong. So if you're a very, very good business person, you just work harder and make more money, which is insane, because think about like working out, right? Like you have incredible legs and you're like strong and you run and cycle. And then I said to you, we look at, and he's like, oh, well, you should work on your upper body. He was like, okay, let me do some squats and work on my legs again.
Right.
Makes no sense. Let's work on actually what you're not strong at. But people do that. They will work harder. They will make more money instead of saying, hold on, what am I really committed to? And again, I have nothing about working hard or making a lot of money or be successful. I'm listening to what area of your life you feel like this person is a loser. Let's get to work on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I wanted to ask you? So sticking with this first client that you were working with. So as you said, if you asked anyone in his world, in his business, they would have said he's amazing, he's incredible, he's so successful, and they all perceived him in that manner. And his self-perception was, I'm an effing loser. Why is it that you think that the people around him didn't see that his health was not a priority?
Okay, so first of all, maybe his wife did. Okay? So I don't know the answer, but I can tell you that people experience someone in a very particular way. So I will work with someone who is part of a running marathon training team, and people are like, She is like inspiring. She runs fast all of us. She's waiting the end. And come on, guys, like let's finish. And then she comes to me as a client, and she's complaining about her studio really doing really, really badly business-wise. So not a lot of people know you from every hat you're wearing. And you're wearing so many hats. I had I have 3 kids. I had a conversation with my kid, and I said to her, "You only know me as your father. I'm much more than a father.
Right.
I'm a husband. I'm a businessman. I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. I'm a son. You know me in one capacity, and your entire experience with me is with capacity. I'm not criticizing you, but just understand it's limited." So his employees knew him as the CEO, and maybe COO or like his, like very close people said, "Hey, buddy, you're 300 pounds." But even if they said, it's no big deal because he's one of those like jolly, great, funny guy. It doesn't matter what people say about you. It's how he experienced himself.
How he experienced it, right?
And
That self-perception.
Exactly. And when we kind of like scratched the surface, and it was literally, we didn't have to do much more than scratch the surface. He said, "Look, I have 2 excuses that I use all the time. One is, what do you want? I travel all the time. I live on planes and stay in hotels. Food is my comfort," right? That was the 2 things he kind of kept on saying. But the reality, now he knew the impact. The impact is he doesn't sleep well. He doesn't work as well as he worked. He also doesn't feel great about himself. So there was a huge impact on him, compensated by something else. So what we do in life, one of the things that is so human, one of the, Bridget, one of the critical things is there's no judgment in what I'm saying, okay? I'm just...
Right. No,
So it's not like I'm like, you're the one who experienced yourself as a loser. I'm not saying you're a loser, right? And what people do is they cover the misery with something else. And I had the same. Look, I ran a big company, and I was not happy, really not happy, but I drove a really nice Porsche.
Right.
So every time I got into the Porsche, I was like, you know what? I'm doing very well, and I'm taking my family on vacation, but I was miserable, right? So when you're really, truly honest, putting that mirror in front of you and saying, what am I really committed to? Then we need to get to work.
It's interesting. I wonder sometimes, so the person, the high performer, as you said, they're compensating in some manner, or they're escaping to comfort, possibly having the feeling of, well, I'm so good at so many other things, I can't expect to be good at everything. I also wonder if that impacts the perception of those around you. They may feel as if, well, what can we expect? He's so great at X, Y, and Z. And, it's interesting. I don't know why that...
Well, I think that, look, being extraordinary takes extraordinary actions. And most of us are ordinary. So the environment is constantly going to push someone to your own comfort. Because Bridget, if you have a friend who is financially successful, business career, she's doing great, she's in health, she's in a wonderful relationship, it is confronting, and people love complaining. How many people you have in your life go like, things are great. And you're like, no, that's not true. But they honestly believe this way. So if I am ordinary and I'm next to an extraordinary person, I have to use some justification of why my life is not extraordinary.
Right.
So one of the excuses is like, well, Bridget is very good at making money. Look at her marriage.
That's right. Yeah, that's
exactly.
right.
Because what if Bridget has amazing marriage and she's successful business and she takes care of herself? Like, this is confronting to me. It has nothing to do with Bridget.
Right. That's right. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So that you have written a book and have a whole program, the Zenith Code. And this is what you are utilizing, where you're allowing your clients to close that gap and to actually create some success in areas where they were not perceiving that they could be successful.
Correct. It's more than that. Look, so it's a little background, right? For 20 years, I was a real estate developer in New York City. I had a company. I took it public. I ran a public company for almost 7 years, and it completely blew up in the worst way. No. So, but I was teaching at NYU grad school. I wrote my first book about real estate and entrepreneurship, and I was leading workshops for like thousands of people. And I was fascinated by that tug of war we were just talking about earlier, right? And it's what I'm curious about with clients and with people. I work with a lot with groups, not with as much with one-on-one. I do both, but mainly a lot of with groups, is what do you truly want? That's the first thing. And then that's actually the easy thing, because most of us know by a particular age, we know what we want. I mean, we go through a midlife crisis or a change in career or some life change, like, oh, do I really want this? Or do I really want to be married? Do I want to be single? Do I want to change career? Fine. Overall, people know what they want, but it lives like La La Land, like a fantasy. Because my next question, which is much more difficult, and that's kind of my New York side, right? What are you willing to do to get there?
Yes.
So let's have a straight conversation about that one, because I have no problem uh, supporting you to a degree with having ordinary results. I don't think being ordinary is a problem. I think there's a problem and struggle and pain and misery in saying you want to be extraordinary and operating in an ordinary way. They don't
Right.
live in the same world. So again, I have zero criticism or problem with you saying, look, you want to have the carrot cake? Have the carrot cake, no problem. But don't tell me you want to have six pack and look like, you're 20 years younger on the beach in a Speedo in Europe, whatever, because, and then have the carrot cake, because they live in two different worlds. And if you want to have the
Right.
carrot cake, have a carrot cake. And if you want to have like a perfect body, have a perfect body. The problem is that we want it both. So people say, look, I'm really committed to having very low fat percent in our body.
Mhm.
And then they order the carrot cake, and the first bite they take is, oh, this is delicious,
Right.
But
This is
the
worth it.
second and the third and the fourth, they stop enjoying it. All they say, I'm such a loser. I can't believe
That's
how
right.
people. And they
Why did
finish
I
the
do
whole
this?
damn cake while they're beating themselves down and say, oh, here we are again. This is my
Right.
fifth time saying I'm not going to have any sugar. Look, why suffer? Like really, like just have it. You want to be chubby and happy, be chubby and happy. You want to be six pack and happy, but the key is the happiness, not the six pack or the chubbiness.
That's right. Right. It's when you think about the gap that you're talking about, reconciling it, there's like beliefs and your behaviors. And I feel like that's partially what you were just describing. But how would you take I want the carrot cake? How does that tie into a belief? The behavior you just described perfectly, like I want to be six pack. I want to have the carrot cake. And then what you're doing. How does it tie back to your beliefs and your core values?
That's a really great question. It's interesting. I think it's there's two. I'll try to break it down, and correct me if I'm wrong about getting the question. I would break it two things. So first of all, there's two conversations. One is internal, the other one is external. So consider that your beliefs are based in a history of conversation you had around you, whether your religious belief or life belief. You just accumulate
Right.
conversation. So my kids grew up, both my wife and I are business people and successful. So my kids grew up in an entrepreneurship home, an entrepreneur's home, right? So the conversation, so their belief comes from that, right? If I
Right.
was a very conservative, not risk manager, and that's kind of like my kids heard that come sit around the supper table, their probably beliefs will be that can be.
Right.
So first of all, understand that there's an exterior conversation that gives you element of your belief. And then there's the internal conversation. And they go back and forth of what's louder. They're very connected, right? So sometimes I will say to you, oh my God, you are so talented. This is amazing. And all you hear is like, I don't have what it takes. You
Yeah.
barely could hear what I said, because the internal conversation based on past experience you had, your character. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not here to analyze
Right.
it.
Right.
I'm saying the reality is that there's an internal conversation, monologue or a dialogue between yourself and yourself, saying, I don't have what it takes.
Right.
I'm a loser. I'm a lazy person. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. Whatever the conversation is.
I'm underperforming.
Underperforming.
Uh,
Yeah, so that's internal. External is the same thing. One of the things that I ask often my clients, do you have the right team around you to support you?
Mhm.
Because we surround ourselves many times with people that is comfortable for us. But when you want
That's
to
right.
excel, it's not comfortable. There's nothing
Right.
comfortable on being extraordinary. It's extraordinary, it's amazing, but it's not comfortable for a period of time. Then you get the results and momentum kicks in, and then it's amazing, right?
Right. Yeah. With the program that you have with the Zenith Code, if I understand it correctly, you've actually worked with high performers to follow a plan where they feel an impact and see results within 90 days.
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Sure, of course. So 90 days, right? So here's why I chose 90 days. Because when used to sit on boards and because, business and New York and the whole thing. And people talk 3 years, 5 years, and it's so intellectual. I couldn't grasp the size of it, because think about our lives versus 5 years ago. COVID,
Right.
how different it is. Think about what AI is doing. I have no idea. Well, my youngest is going to college. He's a junior in high school right now. We look in colleges. And I turned to him and I said, I truly do not know what is the world that you will be walking into in the end of college. I really don't know. So 5 years from me, and that's exactly 5 years from now, right? So 5 years is too long. And then
Yes.
if I said to you, oh, can you do this today? I don't think there's an impact. So after trial and error, I found that 90 days, it's short enough to focus because I'm asking you to just give me 3 months. Don't give me
Right.
the rest of your life. Give me 3 months and we will get crazy impactful results. And then you can have a choice, because here's what happens after 90 days. And I can dive into the 90 days, but I want to tell you about the impact of the 90 days is that people, first of all, it's a muscle. So
Yes.
many people, it's a muscle. So people do 90 days working on their business. That generally most of my clients come beginning as in business, but then they go, you know what? I want to work on my marriage. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do 90 days game. And we can talk about why it's called a game, but 90 days games on my marriage or my fitness and health. So it's a muscle. And I'm telling you, the third game they're playing is so much easier because they develop the muscles of a top performer. So that's the first thing, right?
Right.
The second thing is you can do anything for 90 days.
Right.
And my style is more of a sport coach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how you feel about it. I tell you, if we have that relationship, if you don't have, don't take me as a coach, right? But
Right.
if we have that relationship and I tell you to do 10 push-ups, do the 10 push-ups.
Right.
Don't be like, well, I don't feel this way. Why does it
My
connect?
mood that day, the
Yeah,
wind
exactly.
blew from the east and I
Yes.
just didn't feel I could do it. Yeah, we
Exactly,
can.
exactly. And it's so funny. Or sometimes their beliefs, you said earlier beliefs, their
Yes.
beliefs do not connect to what you ask me to do. So, like, sport coaches, what was his name? The guy from the NBA, who trained Michael Jordan, it was at the Lakers for a long time. He used to do meditation with his players. And I won't be surprised. I wish I could watch a video of that. When a
Right.
kid who came from, Michael Jordan, Carolina, I think South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, whatever it is, but a rough background. And the guy's like, sit down, let's do meditation. He goes like, what the hell? Like, I'm here
What
to
are you
play
talking
basketball.
about?
What's wrong with you? Right? So it's easy if we're working on getting fit for me to ask you to do push-ups. But I'm not asking my client to do push-up, but you do understand
No, I get
the
what you mean.
example. But if you and I work on your marriage and ask you to push up and it doesn't compute in your mind, you're like,
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. Doesn't make any sense. So I'm asking you for 90 days to trust me. Just trust me. And the worst going to happen 90 days, you come back and say, can I get my money back? I'll give you your bad money back. But there's a tipping point about 40, 50 days in that everything suddenly delivers. It's not even it's not a linear thing. It's not like after 30 days you get half. It's like nothing, boom. And that's where people get that 90 days impact.
In my experience with high performers, a lot of them have a chronic issue or an area where they consider themselves a failure and things they just are choosing to not be good at for a long period of time. Does that really impact how successful they're going to be in your 90 days? So what if
Yes,
they have had
because
issues, for like 10 years, the same issue, chronic issue? Can they still get good results in 90 days?
yes, and the reason I said and is like the underline and not the yes. I'm going to have a conversation with you because we need to get really clear that it's something you want, because I have
Mhm.
an assumption. I'm assumption that if that complaint has been around for 10 years, you don't really want to change it. You say you want to change it, but you like the carrot cake.
There you go.
So I really want you to have peace. Have the carrot cake. Enjoy it. Let's work for much shorter than 90 days and get you be really happy with who you are. We don't
Right.
need to there's no need to get to that rigorous program if you're not committed. So I'm going to have a really straight conversation with you about what's important to you. And then the next question, like I said, the second question is always tougher. Are you willing to do the work it will take? Because to some degree, my program sometimes, especially the one-on-ones, they like CrossFit. CrossFit, it's not for everyone. I tried CrossFit. I almost threw up in the first one. I was like, I'm never coming back again. This is way too intense for me. So
Right.
like my program, and I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm not here to sell.
Right.
it's maybe not for you, but I just want you to be happy. So if you've been complaining about the same thing for 10 years, I have a suspicion that you're not really wanting it. Either there's a social pressure on you to say you want it, or there's a fundamental conversation is running the show. Some kind of like, I'm not good enough. What happens if I make it happen? You don't have that true hunger to be extraordinary in that area. You could be extraordinary in other areas, but not in this area.
If someone says to you, they don't know if they're willing to do what would be required, then
Yeah.
you would just stay in that topic and explore that further?
Yeah, and I tell them what it's going to
Yeah.
take, and then I said, you have a choice. It's kind of like the Matrix, like the blue pill,
That's
the
right.
red pill. It's like
Right.
there's a moment when what was his name, Neon, or like what is his name, like Nero, whatever. Like I
Neo.
forgot.
Yeah, Neo.
Neo saying thank you, Neo. Neo goes like, now you have a choice. You can stay in that that fake world, or you can actually take the pill. And I'm not even promising you that the pill is going to be a better life.
Right.
But I have no problem working with you for a few hours and realize that we should not work together. Zero intention. Like, look, a lot of times I get brought by companies to work with their C-level.
Right.
And one of the things I have to do is I got to turn to this team and say, hey, is that something that is imposed on you by the CEO? And many times it is. Now, I work for the CEO. He's the one who pays my bills. But I tell him up front, look, there's fundamental work we need to do before we start that game, because your team wants to, that their incentive is not in change and growth, their incentive in status quo.
It's very interesting you brought that up. As a coach myself, there was one time that popped into my mind. I had a young man, driven, all the elements where he should have been very successful, and he just wasn't showing up or engaging in the coaching in any way that made sense. And it took me, I hate to say it took me around a month of working together every week, where I finally was talking to my assistant. I was like, something is up here. And it turns out he wasn't paying for it. Someone at his office was paying for it, but like doing it like
Yes, they wanted to fix him.
quietly,
They
right?
wanted to fix him.
And
It doesn't
that's
work.
right. And all of a sudden I was like, we have it. You are right. That is a major challenge when someone is trying to externally fix you, man, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'll tell you something here. So I led workshop to thousands of people around real estate and teaching real estate and entrepreneurship, right? I developed Zenith Clubhouse is because I used to go into a room, and you know it because you're a coach, right? And I worked, let's just say, with 100 people.
Right.
80% of them, they were what I call inspirational junkies.
Yes.
They go from one course to the other looking for inspiration so they can get off the couch and do the work. And I realize I'm spending 90% of the time on them, and they will never deliver. And it's not a bad thing. They just, because they think that the engine or the fuel of the engine is inspiration. And
That's right.
inspiration is like sugar. You get very excited. Come on, let's do it. And you go and you register the gym, and then a month later, you don't pay for the gym. You don't go to the gym anymore, but you pay for the entire year, right? So I said, and after a while, I could sense who's going to deliver or not. I could literally spend a few hours and say, Bridget is going to deliver and John is not. And I was wrong sometimes. I'm not 100% right, but I got a sense that there's a level of integrity and commitment you have that is beyond inspiration. And that's why I said, let's do a program just for the people who actually want to do the work. So that kid you work with, that young person you work with, had no true internal drive to change. It was someone else who said, oh my gosh, let me fix that person. If they only do this program, they only do this.
That's right.
And it depends also how much you care. Some, maybe you don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm going to bill you for my coaching. And he's going to go, no, I get it frustrated. So I will fire. I will fire clients.
Too.
I was like, look.
Me too. Yeah.
I wish you all the
I
best.
knew that
Really,
that was not
personal.
going to work well for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have zero tolerance for people who says look, I have all the compassion and all the tolerance and the love and the admiration, people who are stuck as long as they really want it. If it's a blind spot that's holding you back, if it's something that stops you, we will spend hours and time and effort and exercise, everything to go through that dark place or that unknown space to get to the next size. But if I see you don't do the work, wasting your time and my time, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's frustrating as a coach. And I know what you're talking about. Frankly, I have a few colleagues, and also no judgment there. If you're okay with that, that did not fit for me. the disconnect for me was so strong in his engagement level. And as a coach, I did not feel comfortable, continuing.
Yeah,
So
and I think
similar
that's
to you,
what
I
the
would fire it.
different between coaches and psychologists beyond the degree
Right.
and everything is that, like, my sister is a clinical psychologist, and she has a very far higher tolerance to listen to someone for years going through the same issues and trying to
Hmm.
like peel another layer and peel. I'm like, come on, let's get to work. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, let's find another thing. If it doesn't work, then whatever. Go. We tried, right? It 95% of the time it works.
You mentioned the clubhouse, so that is your community aspect. You've actually built a community with, I'm assuming, clients and people that have read your book, and it's
Yeah.
on the Clubhouse platform, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
What's possible with your clubhouse?
So it's actually so I want to keep on expanding it. So right now what it is, it's people who've done the work and they want to share it because it's like, look, if you get that six pack we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
but you maintain it, it's going to go away. So I'm really committed to create an environment of extraordinary. So in the more extraordinary environment you're in, the easier it is to maintain it. So it's kind of like, the environment around you is critical to your success. If you say, look, I want to get a top shape. I want to be the most energetic and top shape I've ever been before in my life. And we walk into your kitchen and we look at your kitchen cabinets and it's full of junk food and processed food, then it's not about you. It's about the environment. The environment is there not to support you. It's going to just like, can you do it? Of course you can do it, but it's going to be much harder to
Right.
do it, right? So it starts with like physical thing, but it also goes to people. So I said, look, there's a lot of people who done my course, work with me, and they want to keep on, maintenance. So I do lectures, I do guest speakers, I do
There you go.
communication. Hey, talk to each other. Let's get together once a year. Let's do a retreat. One of the illusions people have, and it's always in mediocrity, is that I do it once and I'm done. It's so funny. Like successful people never have an issue having a coach. It's the non-successful people who go like, oh, I don't need a coach. I can do it by myself.
I already know what I need to do.
Yes, so go do it. I don't care. Like you and I, like really, I wish you all the best. But it's so funny.
Right.
I always ask when I get into the stupid, panels sometimes, and someone
Uh-huh.
said something. I said, okay, show me 10 successful people without a coach.
Yeah.
Show me in business. I know, like basically CEO whisperers, people who get
Mhm.
crazy amount of money to be coaches of the. I mean, I'm in New York. I belong to a group that kind of has a lot of wealth in it. It's called YPO. I'm telling you, I'm meeting people who are billionaires. They have a coach.
Yes.
So I'm not telling you you should go get a coach. That's not. I'm not saying this is not a message to the people. It's not like, oh, everybody gets a coach. But if 10 people get a coach and they're very successful, maybe there's something there, right? Now
That's
you
right.
got to find the right coach for you, the right attitude, the right methodology. Fine. But there's something there. And one of the commitment of the clubhouse is to create that environment that makes it easier, that you can communicate, that you can keep maintenance, you can hold each other accountable, you can do, all that stuff.
I think one of the most appealing aspects of the Zenith Code is that you focus on that short time frame so that you can have some wins. As you said, that day 45, 50 is very critical because that's where you've accumulated enough small wins that you feel it. So you're taking someone and you're allowing them to have success essentially now, right? So I think that is amazing. You brought up that 5 years, and yeah, 5 years, it just feels too far away. There's a 5-year trap even, I believe in, where we overestimate what we can do in 5 years and we underestimate what we could do in 90 days. I think that or 1 year, right?
Yes.
And so what you're doing, I believe you're tapping in with the Zenith Code into that, hey, don't look at 2031. Let's stop for a minute and let's look at this coming August.
Yes. I
How
want
would
to
you like your
train
life
you.
to be different
Exactly.
in August?
Exactly.
That.
I want you to develop two things. Muscles in winning, physical muscles, right? You said earlier, you asked a question about belief.
Yeah.
A lot of our beliefs are based on things that happened in the past. If you have many losses in the past, your belief is that you're a loser or you don't have what it takes or life is not fair. Okay. I want to shift your belief. And one of the most effective ways to change your beliefs is to get you some wins.
Yes.
And now there's a true theory The world is not flat. The world is round. Why? Because someone came back and said, hey, I went beyond the horizon and my ship did not fall off. I came back and I have a story to tell, called the Americas or whatever, And so people go, oh, I can shift my belief. Now I can start to operate on a different paradigm.
Right.
Because now I have more. Look, it's easy to feel great when you have evidence around you that shows that you're great. So I want to give you some medals that you can look and go like, oh, I can do it.
The other thing you mentioned is that team around you. And one of my key coaches and mentors, he has a very strong belief that your life becomes the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
It's a well-known
And he says,
field, yeah.
says, I'm not talking about love. You can love someone, but doesn't mean they should be one of the 5 people you're spending the most time with. And so he really taught, and it's amazing. I'm sure you already know a lot of people fight him on that. But
I agree 100%. It's a well-known thing. If you take the 5 people closest to you and you average their salary, that's your salary.
That's your salary. That's right.
Because look, if I was Bill Gates' friend, I would probably feel very comfortable a lot, even if he picks up the bill every time we get together. It is so vast, the amount of money he has, that I would feel if I hang out on the yacht with Jeff Bezos. So I totally get that, right? But there's a reason why single people hang out with single people, or divorced women hang out with a bunch of the divorced women friends. No judgment from our perspective. So first of all, your mentor is 100% right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm asking a little different question. I'm asking 2 things. First of all, I want you to assert that one needs a team to win. That's the first thing. You must understand that, okay, so first of all, no one wins alone.
Right.
But then the next question that is, again, we talk about the second question is always more important than the first question.
Right.
Now, if we agree that everybody needs a team, okay, then my question is the team around you sufficient to the game you want to play?
That's right.
And what do I mean by that? I want to, if you don't mind, I want to dive a little bit into that. Look, I'm a cyclist. I'm a hobby cyclist. I'm one of those who wear those like funny jerseys on Saturday and meet with 3 of my friends. We're all in our 50s and we ride for like 20, 30, 40 miles, right? And we stop for coffee. There's no one on my team because I do 30, 40 miles, So if I get a flat and I'm really like whatever, I change it, or I call my wife and say, hey, honey, would you mind coming and picking me up? I'm like, I don't feel like it. Right? That's the size of my team because that's the level I want to play on, which is called weekend cyclist. Now jump to the Tour de France. Okay. It's one rider. I mean, actually, it's a peloton, but let's just take one winning rider, right? There are hundreds, if not thousands of people around that person. The chef, the massage therapist, the coach, strategic coach, the team, the this, the that, the traveling. Why? Because the game they're playing on, the platform, the level is completely different than the level I'm playing on. So going back to what you asked, many people want to play on the next level and dragging their team to the next level when the team is not the right team. And I got to tell you, when I took my company public, I had to replace, and I love them, replace my entire accounting team in my own company. And they were amazing. I had to them all either left or I had to let them go. And I, took care of them, everything. Why? Because running a public company is a different game than running a private company.
Private company, yeah.
It just have the tools, then you have the commitment, then you have the knowledge, the know-about, all that stuff, right? So one of the things that your coach or your mentor and I are talking about is not just that the 5 average people is like, ask yourself, are they playing the game or are the right people to play the game? And you can have different teams. If you want to get in top shape, you can still hang out with your best buddies from college who you like to go to get a beer. But that's not a team to win the next marathon or to finish a marathon. You got to get with people who do marathons.
Right.
Or understand, what to eat, how to train, how to stretch, avoid injuries. Or why would you hang out with a bunch of guys who went to college and drink beer with you to talk to them about that's insane. But we do that all the time.
We do.
We bring the wrong team to the wrong game.
And oftentimes we do that out of loyalty or a self-belief of, friendship, or the way that you're describing it. I think you're highlighting that not only is it not going to get you where you want to go, but it can actually make the people around you feel inadequate or like they're not good enough. And that's probably not your intention.
Everyone gets resentful. Your friend gets resentful because you're like, oh, Look at Bridget. She changed on us. All she talks about is now running marathon. And
Right.
she doesn't want to have the second beer with us because she thinks so much better, right? And you go like, what the hell? A bunch of loser friends of mine. I'm telling you that I'm so committed to running my first marathon. And here they are saying, let's do another round of beers, of drinks.
Yeah.
Why? Why do
Right.
that to both sides? And then you blame them. That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Look, one of the things that happens is that we in a culture keep on pointing the finger this way. And the more powerful you become, the more the fingers have to turn to your direction. You become resentful and you blame everybody else for your failures. While you're
Right.
the one who failed putting the team together, choosing the right people, do the work. And we live in a society that is mastering blaming others. That's at least my experience as a coach. We are so
Yes.
good and
Yeah.
blaming, not taking responsibility,
Blaming others, blaming environment, blaming
Yeah.
a system. Yeah. So it's very, this is an overused word, but it's actually energizing and empowering when you just stop yourself and say, wait a minute, this is me and I created it. Because when you do that, then you also accept and understand that you can create change.
Yes. And
It's powerful.
that's even a deeper understanding. Before we even get to what you just said, right? I say you can't change others. You can change yourself. So actually, I say to you, forget how you feel about it. Like, I now can work on myself. I'm like, can you change the people, that other person? We cannot change other people, right?
No.
We can impact them, ask them to change, but you can change yourself. So why would you go work on other people when you can actually work on something much easier, which is yourself?
I'm curious what your thoughts are around actual mistakes. So if a high performer actually makes a mistake, sometimes that mistake can lead to so much self-criticism because they made a mistake and they're not getting over it. And then that mistake can turn into a bigger issue and a bigger issue. Have you seen that with some high performers where they're hiding it? So it's like it's a hidden shame and a hidden issue with what you do in the Zenith Code. Do you believe that would allow them to get out of their own way and recover from a mistake that then they turned into a chronic issue or a problem?
Yeah.
A failure.
I congratulate you for making mistakes. I think it's stupid and insane to think that you're not going to make mistakes. You want to win all the time? Go play basketball in the corner with a bunch of 5-year-olds. You're going to win every game. It's going to be very
That's
boring
right.
after a few games.
That's
But
right.
you're going to walk in your entire 5'10" or whatever 5'8" you are, and you're going to give an elbow to that 5-year-old and take the ball from
That's
the
right.
and keep them dunking on the little tiny games. Fine, right?
Yeah.
You and I think, speak often in this conversation about myths, right? Like,
Yes.
uncovering myths. So one myth is that one does not make mistakes. That's just stupid. There's no other words for it, right? Like, by the nature of the performance, you make mistakes. And by the way, there's some areas that it's designed to make mistakes. I mean, if you develop a new medic treatment for cancer, can you imagine a scientist walking and go like, I made a mistake. Okay, let's give up. No,
That's
the
right.
whole point is mistake, boom, breakthrough, right? That's what the design of developing science is. All you do is try and error. What can we learn? What can we do? Eventually, there's enough knowledge, wisdom, understanding that there's a breakthrough. And here we are. We can give you now a treatment that will get rid of the cancer.
Right.
As humans, as entrepreneurs and people, we don't operate this way. So I welcome mistakes.
Yes.
Good for you for playing. Good for you for
That's
playing.
right.
There's two things. One is, look, it's all going to end the same. I keep on saying it to my clients. Here's the good news. Here's the bad news also. Well, you're going to die. They're going to throw dirt in your face. They're going to cry and go get lunch.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States or you're someone who they're going to be really upset. They're going to cry, but they're going to get lunch eventually. It's going to 2 hours later, 5 hours. So it's all going to end the same. So I am inviting you to make as many mistakes as possible.
Yeah.
Because that means you're playing a game out there. If you want to win all the time, go play with the 5-year-olds. If you want to be extraordinary, you're going to go to the NBA and then you're going to lose some games and you're going to throw the ball and someone's going to catch it and the other team is going to win but you're living life, right? So the first thing is I want you to completely alter your relationship to mistakes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the question is, what you said is, what's the crutch that one walks with? It's not about making mistakes. It's what you made the mistakes to be. After a
Yes.
while, you start like dragging that bag of mistakes in your back. And the difference between successful people or top performers and not top performers is not how many mistakes they made, is what's the velocity they can move from one mistake to the other.
That's right.
From one failure to the other. I think Churchill said it, that, success is moving from one failure to the other something. I
Rapid
forgot the
succession.
quote, but
Yeah.
exactly. Whatever it is, it's not even a better accent and probably much brilliant than me. But it really is. Successful people or people who are moving from one failure to the other without losing momentum.
Yes.
Non-successful people is people who said, I failed, I'm a failure.
Right.
That's the thing. But the third time, they no longer say, I failed. They say, I am a failure. Look,
I am a failure.
Bridget, I can write encyclopedias on the amount of failures I've had. I mean, I had to go through bankruptcy with my company. I mean, can you have a worse nuclear thing? And I'm not proud of it. It was painful and it was hard and it cost money and emotions, and we can spend 3 hours only talking about that, right? But I did not become a failure.
That's right.
I have failed, and that's the key.
And you may not be proud of that particular time. Are you proud of how you recuperated and moved forward and then took risks again and probably failed again, right? Are you proud that you got back in the game, so to speak?
I'm proud of who I am, which means I'm proud of keep on trying something that is not easy. And if you want easy, that's not a problem. Look, I always tell people, I live in New York, right? New York is not easy.
No.
It's extraordinary, fascinating, challenging. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. It is not easy. We have homeless people. We have minus 20 Fahrenheit in the winter and 100 in the summer. And we have expensive everything. It's not easy, but it's my choice, right? Yeah. So if you want easy, go to Arizona. And, in that area of your life, you said, I want easier. I want a bigger house. Again, you chose the game called living in Arizona, and I chose the game called living in New York. Right. And neither are the right games.
That's right.
So the same in life. I want you to play full on for the game you want to play.
And by choice and by design. You just said that when you were describing it, that you choose to be in New York, and I chose to be in Arizona. Choose it. Neither are by default. Yes. Like how often and how many people do we know that are, again, if they love where they live, that's one thing. I know a lot of people that do not necessarily love where they live, but feel as if they don't have a choice.
Yes.
And they stay.
It's the key, because we forgot we chose and then we complain about it and we become a victim of the situation. And, you get married and then you complain about it and then you become a victim of your marriage, forgetting that you had a choice in the matter. Maybe if you're Catholic and some other religions, like you really believe that there's some higher powers that you chose that you have to stick with it no matter what. Fine. Okay. I'm talking to the non-Catholics, or someone who's not very religious and says, look, I'm Jewish. You can get divorced in Judaism, and most, but you forgot it's a choice. You forgot you chose it, and you became a victim of your own choices.
Right.
Have fun. If you're being married, have fun being married. If you're being single, have fun being single. But stop complaining, saying, I wish I was single because now I'm married, or the other way around. Just understand that every part of it has a game around it. Why do I keep on saying the word game? Because it's a fundamental part of the Zenith Code. And I want to explain to you if you don't mind.
I would love that.
Okay, so game, if you see the definition of games, game has 3 elements. One is time limitation. All right. The other one is scoreboard, scores.
Right.
And the third one is rules and regulations. Everything in life is a game. Even our lives itself has a time limitation, has rules, and it has a scoreboard. So one other thing I tell my clients is that, look, Bridget, let's just look at the scoreboard. Are you winning or are you losing? I'm not putting my judgment. Most of us don't operate like that. Most of us go like, well, let me tell you how I feel about it.
Right.
And it's fine, but it's just not in reality. Can you imagine going to, again, I'm using the example of sport because sport is very black and white.
Yes.
You say, I feel amazing. I am amazing. I feel incredible. And it's okay. Let's look at the scoreboard. You have 15 points and I have 20 points. Who's winning? Who's losing? You're losing. I'm winning. I don't care how you feel about it, right? And we have lost that black and white relationship to scores. People are so fascinated by how they feel about it. And again, no problem. Just get off the court and have a great. It is fun to sit in the bleachers and like have a beer and hang out and look at the score. Fine. But if you want to be on the court, there's a scoreboard. So I'm
Right.
asking you the question, do you want to be a top performer in that area? And if that's the case, I'm going to be focusing and giving you all the tools and you're going to do the work, but I'm going to give you all the support to look at a scoreboard ongoingly, like, and seeing, are we winning? Are we losing? If we're losing, what do we need to do to modify the game? Not the game itself because it has rules, but modify the operation of how we operate so we can win now. That's it.
Is there anyone that would not benefit, any high performer that desires change, that just would not benefit from the Zenith Code?
Yes, because they don't really desire change.
Okay.
And look,
That's
I
really
don't
what it comes
anything
down
is
to. So
it really boils
if
down to that. And they say they want it because their partner says it, or they
right,
feel like they need to get the private jet and find business not enough. But then
it's the cool
within
thing
the
to
work,
say.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh,
Right.
that's the biggest one. Like the coolest thing to do. I really want look in today's with social media, Instagram, it's all
Yeah.
about looking a particular way. So I want that Lamborghini. And you have all those like influencers who say, "Oh, I bought crypto," and then I became so it's like
Right.
we
Yeah.
live in, especially younger people, that but when they have a conversation with me, we just sit there and go like, "Look, you're amazing person. Let's stay amazing. You just don't really want that because you're not willing to do the work, or you
Mhm.
live in an illusion. I think it's illusion. You don't have to agree with me that you're gonna get it without doing the hard work.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
the wrong guy for you. Go invest in crypto, and maybe you will find, maybe you will be one of that one, I would say 0.01% of people who are just purely lucky. No, really, like there's some people
That's right. That's
who
right.
heard about crypto 15 years ago, go like, I'm going to put $100 on it. Well, like, and I didn't have that vision.
I
I
didn't
worked
either.
hard for my money. And now that $100 they put got them whatever,
Right.
10,000 cryptos. And now they're multi-millionaires. Good for them. I'm not that smart. I'm not that sharp. So
Yeah.
I'm saying to what you're saying is, yes, I want to get really clear if you want to do the work. And if you want to do the work, I'm there with you. I'm there in the mud. Absolutely. But people aren't going to benefit. People are not willing to do the work because they actually don't
Yeah.
want it.
Right.
No.
But if someone does want it, not too old, not too fill in the blank with any descriptor, not too old, not too young, not too skinny,
No.
fat, but tall,
No,
short,
no,
like
not at all.
all the things that we carry around with ourselves, like
Look,
that won't work for me because. But
yes,
what you're saying is you've stripped it down, you have gamified it, you have
yes,
clear indicators, and you allow someone to choose winning in
yes.
a short time frame.
And I have a list of successes, so
Mm-hmm. Right.
that's also, but, and the challenges are different. Like, you said not too old, not too young. Too old takes sometimes more work on the beginning. It's kind of like, plant a tree in a much rougher soil with more
Yes.
rock there. So you need to spend more time removing the rocks from the soil, stuff like that, because it is more set. So if you were coming, which I didn't have, it's interesting that you bring it up. I don't think I had any clients who are in their 70s. I had CEO who are in their early 70s who brought me to work with their team. But I would
Mm-hmm.
say most people are younger than that. But if someone in their 70s came to work with me, I think they will, I'm certain because I haven't done that we'll need to spend more time on removing those beliefs that they have. Those,
Right.
like you said, early belief,
Yeah.
because they've been doing it for a long time. So you lose your flexibility as you get older, physically and mentally, right? So you're more set into like old dogs and cannot learn new tricks.
Right.
I don't believe in that, but it just takes a bigger commitment, right?
Yes.
Younger people have crazy amount of flexibility and hunger, which is always inspiring to me. A young person comes to me and I said, I'm just giving a stupid example because I don't say that, but do 10 push-ups. They're like, okay, I did do 11. What's next? I went, oh, I
Right.
love
Yeah.
it. Right.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to sticking with something and willing to kind of grind in a longer term, they have a hard time because they're so elastic. So I think that's
Yes.
different between too young or too old. They're all going to work. And if not, I'll give you my money.
There you go. There you go. Well, I think you and I have similar feelings around mistakes or failure. We're failing forward. Like, this is such a cliche, but you're either, winning or learning, right? So you have nothing to lose. Even if you didn't have the intended result on day 91, you're still different than you were 90 days ago. And
Oh,
something
absolutely.
would have come of it, right? Even if it's clarity over what you truly do desire, so there's something there.
No, I think that's the important thing, actually. So,
Yeah.
when I ran my real estate company, I used to tell my investors, see this Excel, it will never turn out. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's going to be because, it says 22% a year return. It's never 22%. It can be less or it can be more, but it's never exactly 22. One of the joys for me is to see how much more and richer is the result in 90 days than actually what they set up in the beginning.
Right. Yes.
So because it's so there's a compounding element.
Correct.
So and some of them fail, and I'm like failing like I did not lose the 20 pounds, right? But first of all, they got 15 pounds off. That's amazing. And second thing is, I spend a lot of time in the end of learning from what's the learn from that process, because some of us have gained so much winning, and it's not what we expected.
That's right.
And
Right.
one of the curses or the challenges with top performers is that we have this hunger that we never celebrate our successes. It's always about what's missing, what's wrong. Well, I made $10 million. No, if I only have 15, then I'm good. And it's look,
That's right.
it's a blessing, because that's what makes you like this driven person, right? Like, I want to run the marathon faster. I want to have more money. I want to have more of this. I want to have more vacation, whatever the thing that gets you excited, right? But one of the thing I work on is the ability to enjoy the successes, even if we do not accomplish every element of the game we created. Like, can you pick up 2, 3, 4 things that truly can be celebrated? Because top performers are often cursed by this very high expectations from themselves that they never pause and celebrate their accomplishments.
Right. Where does joy fit into it?
The satisfaction of
Okay, I
accomplishing.
want to make sure that's where
That's
you're
where the
coming.
joy
Yeah.
is. Like, you are so busy. Look, I'm speaking about myself. I was a pig. I had one building. I wanted two. I had two. I wanted five. I had five. I wanted 10. I wanted 10. It was never, I took it public. I kept on. And I can tell you, looking back, or there are few moments when I actually experienced satisfaction, pride,
Hmm.
and joy, because it was never enough. It was never enough. And I'm not saying that you should kill that, because again, that's the drive that makes humans so extraordinary.
Right.
That
Right.
we want always more. Human are people are, an animal that wants more all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying let's take it away and be all zen about it. No, I get the hunger. I'm a driven person. I'm just saying that we need to create the system to have in your system time for celebration.
Yes.
Us going back to what we said 5 minutes ago, because you don't know where it's going to end.
Yeah.
Because you're like, on next project, if I only do the next project, then I'll be happier. Then I'll have enough money. And then you cross the street and a bus kills you.
That's
And
right.
the last thing I want is, is like, sorry for being graphic, but as your brain is being like, from the bus hitting you, the last thought is like, oh, I can't believe I didn't finish like, really, that's the last thought you want to have. I wish I had $10 more million. Like, you
Right.
gotta not just wait, but literally build a system around celebrating and joy.
Yeah. And I do think that is a chronic repeating or common trait amongst high performers.
Yes, and in our culture,
Yeah.
it's never good enough.
That's right.
Good, get that the $3,000 bag to the $5,000 bag to the $20,000 bag. It's never enough. There's always going to
Right.
be someone in that restaurant, if you hang out with that walks in with a bag that you couldn't get. That's the whole point. If you
Right.
fall into that trap, it's such a brilliant trap of high fashion. There's always going to be
Always.
someone with a bag you can't get a hold of. So
That's
suddenly
right.
30,000. I mean, can you imagine how insane 30,000? I don't want to offend anyone who owns those bags. It brings you joy to go for it. But I'm saying it's you walk away and you're like, look at me. I got a $30,000 bag. I closed the deal. I deserve it. I didn't steal from anyone. It takes exactly 3 seconds for someone to walk in with a $35,000 bag to be like,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a very short, I saw it. Look, I said earlier, I'm not to like praise it, because I actually make fun of myself. I live in Brooklyn, in New York City, right? And my old office is probably 2, 3 miles away. And I drove a really nice Porsche from my place to the office. I mean, how dumb is that? It wasn't like I was going on the Autobahn or one of those like racetracks.
Right.
But it got me some joy
Hmm.
for a while to get into that Porsche. But then I hang out with people with Ferraris. It's trap of human being. And we need to create, and I say not just to find, because it's hard when you are in the storm of more and more and more to find. We need to build systems and structures in your life that celebrates joy. Because if not, you're going to
Yes,
fall
I
into the
agree.
trap of the Porsche or of the $30,000 bag. It's never enough.
Well, it's funny, in almost any personality type of test or strengths test that I've ever had done on myself, rewards and that type of thing, always at the bottom. It's always at the bottom. And it's
Yeah.
really funny because, I mean, yeah, so if I don't schedule that in, it's probably not going to happen on its
Yeah.
own, and I had to face that. So it's funny that we ended up talking about that today. You know what else is funny about this whole dynamic? If anyone's listening to us, and thank you for still being here, and put in the comments if you lean more towards wanting more or wanting less. Even the people that want less, so the whole minimalism trend and going into frugality or non-brand, quiet luxury, all of that. So even if it's not the new bag, people get addicted to being the most minimal. Well, look at my house.
It's more or less.
I have
You want more
one
or less.
chair,
Exactly.
and the one
exactly.
chair turns into my bed. Like I don't know. I'm not
No,
in
you are-
minimalism.
it's the same game. It's just the other
It's the
version
same
of it.
game. It's just a
It's
different.
the same thing. It's like I want more less.
That's right. That's
Like I
right.
want more of the less, if you know what I mean. If you get what
Yeah.
you and I are
Yeah.
talking about, it's
It's
this
human
is-
nature, whichever
Yeah,
direction
exactly.
it's going
And
in.
look,
Yeah.
I am a victim of it, and I am a product of it, and I'm
Yeah.
all the above. The difference is that I can catch myself and develop sense of humor around it,
Around yes,
and
and just
yes,
embrace
and
it as
most
part of
people
who we are.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
most people don't really. It's undistinguished for them. They're so
Yeah.
trapped in that honey trap that they don't see it. They don't see the look. If you want a $30,000 bag, have it.
Go have it. That's
It
right.
brings you joy, even for 5 minutes. Go have it. Who cares? As long as you didn't steal it from someone or manipulate yourself to get one, go have it. But I want you to have a sense of humor about it. I'm not telling you
You're
don't
right.
get the bag. There's so many things I do, which is so like look, I love wine and food, right? That's my biggest hobby. And my best friend owns a restaurant, and him and I get together. We both have 3 kids and married. We leave the world for a week once a year and go to like Michelin stars, like
Mhm.
somewhere in Italy or in Spain
Right.
or in San Francisco. And my wife could care less. Would go like, "You guys are nuts! Like,
Right.
well, how much you spend a bottle of wine? What's wrong with you?" Like, because for her, it's so foreign, right?
Right.
And then she will do things that are like, "What? You spend what on what?" Like, so I'm not telling you what's right to spend money on or what the right thing to do. All I'm saying is have a sense of humor, but celebrate your humanity around it.
And yeah, and embrace it. It's yeah. Well, I could talk to you for hours. This is fascinating. I hope that it comes through. And what I've heard from you is that you are successful. You own being successful. You're a high performer and you enjoy what you do. And you create community, you impact people, and you're living life. It doesn't mean you're perfect. You still had
That's my life, far away from it.
far away from it, right? Because sometimes in these conversations, I feel like someone may be listening and it's like, well, that's easy for him because, he's successful and lives in New York. And
No,
you went
I
through
shared
that
with you on
trial.
this
You went through
podcast.
the
I went through
trial
a
of the
bankruptcy.
bankruptcy
Exactly. I mean, look,
and rebuilt and renewed and reclaimed joy.
here's my commitment in life, okay? To kind of like get personal here. I want to be fully used by the time I
Yeah.
die.
Yeah,
Not fully successful, because there was going to be someone more successful than me, or not fully.
that's
Like, I
right.
just want to be fully used. And that means that there's a cost to it. And I took risks and I failed and I took risks and I failed again. And then I took risks and I succeeded.
That's right.
But
Yes.
I want to be fully experienced in life, whether it ends this afternoon or it ends in, 50 years from now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone feels, because I do know, especially with high performers, sometimes that mistake or that failure or the filing bankruptcy or having issue with your taxes or whatever it is, because I had that. Don't let it stop you. And even if you feel right now today like you cannot reclaim or rebuild, you can. Every day that you've got, till the bus comes along, you are here today and you can rebuild the muscles, make it a game, get those wins, and you can reclaim it.
Yes, I heard something really brilliant. I forgot who said it. Things are never as bad as they look or as good as it seems.
Right. That's right.
If you're in
Yeah.
the bottom, and there are moments when I was like, it's that shall pass.
It will. Yeah, it will pass. Well, thank you so much for being our guest. And anyone that is curious, all of the links to connect with Boaz will be in wherever you're consuming this podcast. But I
Yeah, and
feel like
I
what you're
also
doing.
I write a weekly article on Substack. So if you
Oh,
love that kind of
nice.
conversation,
Hmm.
that I sit and I really write all those mistakes and insights and thoughts I have about working with clients who are top performers and what differentiate between ordinary performance and extraordinary performance. So whether it's Substack or LinkedIn, I mean, whatever it is, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy
That's
to
awesome.
always be available.
And of course, if you're interested in the Zenith Code, they can buy the book.
Yes, they can buy the book. They can find boazgilad.com or zenithclubhouse.com, and they can reach out to
Yeah.
me. And we do a lot of things. Yeah. Put the
It's the
book, the
Zenith Code,
workshop,
winning the
everything.
games that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And if you are listening to this episode of The Inner Estate, I hope that you'll stay in the game and you'll come back for the next one. So thank you so much.